Hello there. Movie summary here. Today I'm going to explain a fantasy and horror film from the year 2015 called Tale of Child. Spoilers ahead. Attention and be careful. The film is divided into 3 stories. The first narrative focuses on the king and queen of a kingdom called Longtrelist. At first, it seems that the couple leads a happy life, but later we learn that the queen suffers from a rare disease that will never allow her to be a mother. Because of this, the queen is always upset. The king, seeing his wife in this state, summons the best doctors in the entire kingdom, but unfortunately, none of them are able to diagnose the mysterious disease she suffers from. Despite this, the king strives to cheer up his queen. One day he invites some circus artists to the palace. Suddenly, the queen realizes that one of the circus artists is expecting a child. As a result, she feels envious and begins to break things when entering her room. When the king finds out about this, he visits her room and promises to go to any length to solve her problem. Late at night, a strange sorcerer arrives at the castle, who claims he can solve the queen's pregnancy problem. Upon hearing it, the king reminds her that many people have tried in the past and failed. However, the sorcerer is adamant that the queen can have a baby, but it depends on how far the king is willing to go for his queen. The king replies that he will go to the very end. The sorcerer reveals that he has years of experience and that they know a lot about nature, and he further says that nature must always be in balance, and that if the king desires a life he must also sacrifice one. Despite his strange claims, the king and queen give him their full support. After this, the sorcerer begins to describe the process. The king will have to capture a sea monster whose heart will be used to cure the queen's illness. Then a poor, unmarried lady will prepare it, which will then be eaten by the queen. In this way, the sorcerer assures her that the queen will become pregnant. Upon hearing this, the king immediately agrees to hunt the sea monster and begins preparations. The next day, the king sets out on his mission. He finds the creature in one of the rivers. Just as the monster is sleeping, the king is inside the ocean to attack it. In the end, he manages to kill the beast but is seriously injured in the fight. He soon succumbs to his wounds, but before doing so, he extracts the creature's heart. The queen then returns to the castle and covers the heart with a cloth. She later discovers that a maid of the castle is single and pure. She is in charge of preparing the heart. While she cooks, she experiences strange sensations and suddenly becomes pregnant. Soon, the queen consumes the heart and finally becomes pregnant. In the next scene, the maid and queen give birth to their children at the same time. The children appear to be the same age. The queen's son is named Elijah, while the maid's son is named Jonah. The movie fast-forwards to 16 years, where the children have become adults. The queen lives a happy life with her son, Elijah, as she thinks that she has been given a second chance at life. However, the 2 children who are born on the same day and look like twins are not your typical children, as the sea monster is represented by the white shade of his hair. They have a strong friendship and are very close to each other. The queen, on the other hand, despises their friendship. She informs her son that as a prince, he is not allowed to be friends with the maid's son Jonah. Despite this, Elijah ignores his mother and continues to meet with Jonah. Later, we also learn that the children have the unique ability to breathe underwater. In the next scene, the queen threatens her maid that if she does not prevent her son from meeting with Elijah, she and her son will be expelled from the country. However, the 2 seem carefree. They meet regularly. One day, they cross the line when Jonah puts on Elijah's clothes and goes to see the queen. When she discovers the truth, she decides to exile Jonah from the kingdom. Elijah tries to stop her but fails. Then, with sorrow, Jonah cuts down a tree with his knife, and water starts to flow from there. Elijah tells him that as long as the water is clean, he should know that he is alive, and as soon as it turns red, he should understand that Jonah's life is in danger. After saying that, he walks away. Elijah regularly checks the water to see if it has turned red. One day the water turns red and he realizes that something is wrong. To find Jonah, he leaves the kingdom without telling his mother. After a long search, Elijah finally arrives at Jonah's home. He discovers that Jonah has married a young woman. The people there identify him as Jonah since they share the same facial features. He then learns that Jonah left for the forest 5 days ago and has not returned since. Elijah then goes out in search of Jonah. Meanwhile, the queen worries more and more for him. Running out of options, she approaches the sorcerer again, but he asks her the same thing as before. If she wants her son to return, she must make a sacrifice of life. The queen immediately accepts the proposal. In another place, Jonah is seen wounded inside a cave. A flying creature then tries to kill him. After hearing him scream, Elijah locates Jonah and kills the creature with his sword. However, he does not know that the creature is none other than his own mother, But that is what was agreed upon. Life for life. In the final scene of the first narrative, Elijah ascends to the throne of the kingdom and the story ends. Then we are shown the second narrative. The king and two old and mature women are the center of this narrative. The king is an extremely lustful individual who is constantly surrounded by women, drinks a lot all the time, and has not yet found his queen. With that said, he has the influence and fortune to marry whoever he wants. Later we are introduced to two older sisters who reside near the palace. One of them is named Dora, and the other is Emma. Dora is a cunning and selfish woman while Emma is simple. They barely leave their home and they are not married. It is certain that they will die there alone. However, their voices sound incredibly pleasant and young. One morning the king hears Dora sing and is amazed by her voice, so he decides to meet her. Soon, the king approaches her door to take a look at the woman. In his head he thinks Dora is young and beautiful. When he knocks on the door, the sisters panic because they think the king will be angry if he finds out about their appearance. After thinking for a while, Dora finally comes up with a plan and asks the king to come back in a week so she will be more comfortable. In the next scene, the sisters try hard to make their fingers look young and beautiful. Dora covers her fingers with herbs, but they still look like those of an older person. However, Emma has been putting her finger in her mouth for many days, and as a result, it is looking pretty good and young. Today it's been a week and it's the day of the king's visit. When the king arrives there, Dora shows Emma's finger instead of her own. Now the king can't contain his emotions and thinks he has found the love of his life. However, the sisters get more worried because if the king finds out the truth, he will most likely kill them. After thinking about it a lot, Dora proposes a condition. She will only sleep with the king in total darkness and the king accepts. In the next scene, Dora starts squeezing her body with glue so that it feels like a young girl's body. At midnight, one of the temple guards comes to pick Dora up. While there's darkness in the palace, the king sleeps with Dora. But in the morning he realizes that he has spent the night with an ugly old lady. Enraged, he orders his guards to throw Dora by the window. Luckily she survives the fall into the jungle. Dora witnesses magic when a witch, with her powers, transforms her into a beautiful young girl with long hair. The next day the king visits the jungle to hunt and falls in love with young Dora at first sight. He takes her to his castle and decides to make her queen. Dora doesn't know how she became a young woman but remembers her sister. Emma invites Emma to her wedding, who still can't believe Dora's new appearance. When Emma asks her how she became young, Dora sarcastically replies that she has shed her old skin. However, Emma deems it to be true and visits a blacksmith to peel off her old skin in exchange for a necklace. The real fool seems to be the blacksmith. He takes her to the jungle, ties her against a tree and removes all her skin. In the next scene, Emma returns to the castle in a fragile state and soon passes away. Elsewhere, the magic that turns Dora into a young woman doesn't last long. She begins to age and her skin begins to fold. When she realizes she is getting older, she runs away from the castle. The narrative ends on a sad note, as Dora is completely transformed into her old self. Then we are shown the third narrative, which is also about a king. The king is of a strange nature. His queen passed away some time ago. He has an unmarried daughter named Violet, whom he has never truly wanted. One day the king sees a parasitic insect on his hand. Instead of scaring it away, the strange king lets it feed on him. Later he keeps the parasite in a glass case and allows it to feed on his blood every day. As time goes by, the insect grows enormous. On the other hand, Violet, who has grown into a beautiful young woman, always dreams of a prince. However, the irresponsible king can't worry about her, since he is always busy with his parasitic pet. Unfortunately, one day the parasite falls ill and dies. This destroys the king, so he removes the skin and tells his daughter that the time has come to find her a husband. He says that he is going to organize a contest, and that whoever wins can marry her. Upon hearing this, Violet is happy but also a little angry, since she wanted to find a husband on her own. Despite this, she accepts the king's decision. Soon the contest is announced throughout the kingdom. The king displays the parasite's skin in his palace and announces that whoever can guess the name of the insect will win. Many people try but no one can answer correctly because that insect has never grown so big and is so old. At that moment, a strange-looking ogre appears in the palace. He also wants to participate in the contest, and the king allows him to participate. The ogre smells the skin and guesses the correct answer. Hearing this, a devastated Violet tries to end her life. However, the king reassures her by telling her that she can't break her promise. She has no other choice. Violet finally accepts. In the next scene, the ogre takes Violet far into the mountains where she cries for a few days. One day when she leaves the house, she sees another lady on a nearby mountain. She asks for help and explains the whole situation. The lady also takes pity on her and promises to come to her aid. The next day the lady, along with her family, arrives there to rescue Violet. While they cross, the ogre arrives but they manage to cut the rope successfully and he falls. Some time after the escape he finds the family and eliminates them one by one. Then he chases Violet to a cave and begins to hug her. Violet pretends to care, but the moment he gets distracted she finishes him off with a knife. In the next scene, Violet returns to the palace with the ogre's severed head and places it next to everyone else. Then she says, "This is the husband you've chosen," and she starts to cry. The king is also devastated by the vision and falls to his knees. In the final scene, Violet becomes the queen of the kingdom, and so ends the great movie. Subscribe to see more videos like this. Activate notifications and leave a like to help the channel. Thanks for watching.